And we are back, and it's new release weekend, and we just got back from the theater where we saw Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. According to IMDb, this says 2025. It's rated R and clocks in at 2 hours and 14 minutes. Welcome back to the Friday Family Film Night podcast. And before we start, we'd like to encourage everyone to please like, share, and follow. And we'll go right into it. This comes to us from the great Gore Verbinski with writing credits to Matthew Robinson. This is tagged as artificial intelligence, action, adventure, comedy, sci-fi. According to the IMDb blurb, a man from the future arrives at a diner in Los Angeles where he must recruit the precise combination of disgruntled patrons to join him on a one-night quest to save the world from the terminal threat of a rogue artificial intelligence. This stars Sam Rockwell as the aforementioned a man from the future. And it's kind of an interesting film to try to describe other than just go see it. I think Gore Verbinski's filmography is enough proof that you are not going to not enjoy this film.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I think that from start to finish, it is quite the experience. It is quite the ride. I don't know if it's too early, but this is obviously, this is my second film at the theater this year, and it is the best of 2026 so far as I'm concerned. What say you?
Yeah, given our limited exposure to films this year, I would probably say this is the best one so far. Yeah, it's just a wild ride. Sam Rockwell's just great.
Fantastic.
The intro to his character when he first appears in this diner is just amazing. The speech that he gives, his interaction with all the people, his appearance, it's just pitch perfect. I gotta be honest, I feel like, to me, that was almost the highlight of the movie. Just that monologue that he gives in the beginning. The rest of it is good, but I don't think anything tops that opening. And as far as the story goes, I mean, you watch it, you'll form your own opinions about what's actually happening. I think that's another nice thing about it. You could think about it one way, you could think about it another. I know you don't agree with my interpretation of the movie, but that's fine. It's totally fine. You could picture it any way you want. I'm just going by the things that I noticed, little subtle things in the background, not so subtle things in the foreground. And that basically formed my opinion of what was happening and how it mirrors just the futility of the situation that we were all in.
We're hurtling to.
Yeah.
At warp speed. I think that's the beauty of film, right? You bring your own biases, your own experiences, and you form your own opinions about things. And I think that that's another part of the joy of the storytelling process, that you can formulate all these different takes on it. And nothing's right or wrong. I didn't do a deep dive. You didn't do a deep dive. We sort of kind of jumped into this review kind of immediately, or not soon after, or not too far after the viewing experience. So it's still fresh in our heads, but I am blown away at what fun this movie is. I mean, you had originally sent me the trailer. It looked bonkers. I saw Gore Verbinski. I saw Sam Rockwell. I'm like, I'm all over this. And it did not disappoint. I mean, it is a strong, strong story. And I think many a truths are told in jest absolutely plays in this. And it's kind of interesting to see that this thing, I mean, we cannot now have a conversation without AI constantly being tagged. So AI features prominently within the storytelling experience to the point where it's its own entity, I guess, in a way. And it's just interesting where we are in this trajectory, in this timeline, right?
And it's not only just AI, it's technology in general.
In general,
because, yes. I mean, they're showing kind of an exaggerated
view of
a world that we are kind of heading to, just the sort of desensitization that we're all experiencing. They do touch on school shootings, and
that sequence was crazy.
That sequence was nuts, and it basically was a satirical commentary on the fact that, I mean, school shootings or just mass shootings in general happen so frequently now that they barely make news. We've become really unless it's like something really egregious like 30 or 40 people dying, it's like, oh, only 10?
Yeah.
It's getting to that point, and we don't even if it's below 10, it doesn't even make news anymore.
Right.
Then on top of that, just people being slaves to cell phones, people wanting to escape reality.
Mm-hmm.
That was also sort of an exaggerated thing where people they don't want to leave their house. They want to stay at home and just game. And it's just like, oh, but this world is so much better than the real world. I've decided I don't want to live in the real world anymore. And that happens to people. And then on top of that, you have AI, where it's not only it's taking jobs, but it's also taking the place of just relationships.
Yeah.
And this film sort of
touches on all
sort
of
of
these
cranks
things.
all of this stuff up to the nth degree. And in all honesty, it's like, well, yeah, that's kind of where we're heading, unless somebody decides to step in and say, all right, we have to kind of draw a line here, or we have to, I don't know, nothing's going to stop it, but let's try and direct this into something a little bit less all-encompassing. It's hilarious what you were talking, or we both watched that Diary of a CEO, where I forgot the man that he was speaking to at the time, but
Tristan?
I don't know who the guy he was interviewing, but it was like the people that are at the forefront of developing this stuff.
Right.
It's sort of like, Tristan. Oh, they're all in a race to make a god that
they could stick their flag and be like,
that they're basically
first.
That they're all pretty confident will
to some degree
eliminate the need. Eliminate the need for humanity. And if it does, their consolation is, well, at least I was the one that made that god.
Which is crazy.
It's
just so bananas.
Good for you. Good for you. when the AI puts a freaking bullet in your head, they'll give you a cookie beforehand.
Yeah. Thanks for creating me. Goodbye.
Yeah. Thanks for creating me. Your the elements in your body will be used to fuel a prompt about a naked anime girl or something like that.
It is. I mean, something that's not highlighted here is just the tag of social commentary and satire, because I think that this movie definitely, I think we talked about other films being dark comedies. I think this is a dark comedy for sure.
Yes, very.
And it's just really masterfully done. The storytelling on this is tight and it is sensational. I mean, there is so much meat on this bone that as a parent of teenagers that are consumed with electronics, a lot of this track, as someone who lived in a time before this inundation of electronics, I see how easy it is to fall prey to this constant wanting to be entertained and being looped in and liking stuff and all this other stuff that comes with it. But I think we also as a society have to take a step back and see that this is very, very harmful. But I don't know, are we past the point of no return? I wonder. And I think that that's one of the questions that comes up here. I think this is such a great film to springboard dialogue from, because it is, to your point, just everything times 1,000, right? So these are very exaggerated, but at some point this might be the norm. So it's so clever and smart and just firing on all cylinders. The performances were all fantastic. Sam Rockwell, Juno Temple, Haley Lou Richardson, Zazie Beetz, Michael Pena. I loved all of them. And just really fun. It's so nice to see Gore Verbinski back. He's been away for a while, and I don't know what he was doing, but what a comeback. What an absolute feast of a comeback. Do you want to get into spoilers? Did you want to talk a little bit about the stuff that we were talking about, or?
Yeah, if you want to get into it.
Okay. So we'll take a little break. And again, we'd like to encourage everyone to please like, share, and follow. And if you don't want to get into spoiler territory, we would encourage you to turn this off now, because we're going to do kind of a mini deep dive into this film. All right, we're back. And again, we're talking about Good luck, have fun, don't die, which we just caught in theaters. So, do you want to go into your theories?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. Well, basically, from everything you see, okay, so the plot is Sam Rockwell is a man sent from the future to go to this one diner where there is a collection of people. And amongst those people is the perfect combination that will enable him to get to a certain house that's not that actually even that far away from the diner, but it's like a gauntlet to get through. There's going to be a lot of obstacles. A lot of people are going to die, things like that. These are the things that he's telling these people in this diner. And the mission is that he has to get to this house because in that house is a 9-year-old boy who is right then, putting the finishing touches on creating an AI that will basically take over the world and destroy humanity. And his mission is he has this little USB drive, and he has to plug it in to the kid's work, plug it into the kid's computer because you can't stop the AI. It's going to happen regardless. But the USB drive has like safeguards that will prevent the AI from becoming too powerful and also not seeing humanity as just sort of like an afterthought. That's the premise. And he gets his crew and hijinks ensue. The thing that I notice is as the story progresses, there's a part where Sam Rockwell gives a speech. And during the speech, he's telling this crew that he assembled that the AI it basically gives people what they want. It gives them challenges and adventures, and then it gives them a happy ending and whatever. He's basically describing what's going on in the movie for himself. He's on an adventure. He's on a mission. He has like tasks that he needs to fulfill. He has to find the right sequence of people to get the mission done. And at the end of it all, there'll be the happy ending. So he's basically saying, in my mind, that he's in a game right now. And this time machine of his, which is basically just a button that he claimed it was a bomb, but it's actually the reset button that sends him back in time. But in actuality, it's just another game term. The movie's title is a game term. The button itself is just a reset button that will just send him back to the starting point, just like in a game. If you mess up in the game or you don't like what it is, you go back to the beginning of the game. It's a reset button. And then what further cemented it in my mind was there were certain things in the film, like I said, some subtle, some not so subtle. In the more subtle side, there's a flashback to Sam Rockwell's childhood where he's walking through the snow and he has a backpack on, and the backpack looks like a pig. The two assassins that are sent after them are wearing masks that look exactly like his backpack. To me, that was a subtle sign that he is influencing the way the AI is creating the game for him, which is also something that they say in the movie. This final obstacle, it could be anything. And his crew just starts spouting out the most ridiculous stuff. Oh, maybe it'll be kittens. Maybe it'll be a centaur. Maybe it'll be this, that. And guess what happens? It's just an amalgam of all of that. It's a giant centaur made of kittens. And that is a not so subtle representation that this is not happening in the real world. This isn't something that... This isn't the sort of thing that just gets whipped up. It's everything. And as far as I'm concerned, he is basically somewhere in the real world with one of those virtual reality helmets strapped to his face, just playing this game over and over. And anytime it goes wrong or anytime it goes bad, he hits that reset button. That's what I think is going on. And I think that it also furthers the whole thing that this is inevitable. This is just the way it's going to be. And there's really no hope.
I understand what you're saying. I disagree. My take was, and in the opening sequence, he says this is now his 117th time coming back to this. Mm-hmm. And I believe it. I think that he is trying to find that perfect combination to beat the AI. I agree with you. I think it's inevitable. I think it's one of those things that, much like the Industrial Revolution, it's going to change life as we know it. To what degree, I think it's still up in the air. However, I appreciate how Rockwell's the man from the future is trying to circumvent the worst of it by coming back with sort of this fail-safe that would make the AI be not so dangerous. And I think the film itself brings up, like I said before, a lot of interesting questions. And I feel like it's actually happening because there's that, right? And he knows these people intimately now, having done this 117 times, because it's not a big diner. I mean, it's a kind of a big diner, but not. And I'm assuming by the 117th go, you know things. Like, he knew that this guy was useless. He wasn't going to use this guy. There was that woman that he was like, oh, I guess they had like this sexual undercurrent situation. But she, in this particular go round, she was not entertained by him at all. Had nothing to do with him. So it's kind of interesting. I felt like, yes, that this is happening, because there is a point where he doesn't know what's going to happen next, because they'd never been to this particular point in the story.
Yeah, he always went back, like everybody dies, so he
would go
goes back in time. He presses the button.
Right. And so I absolutely believe that he is making this trip. And I think that at the end is further proof, at least to me, that I think I said to you before, I think the thing that separates humanity is that we're scrappy and resilient, and we're just going to keep trying. I think I mentioned to you a lot of the things that I watched in this film kind of brought me back to other pieces of other cinema. I thought about The Matrix. I thought about Terminator. I thought about all these other films, and how in those, the idea of technology and how it's handled. And here, it felt very real, especially like you'd said before about like the high schoolers and the school shootings. It's gotten so to the point where a mass shooting of any kind, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 victims or 40, it doesn't mean anything anymore, which is unfortunate. And there's a sequence here that, while you're laughing, I felt very unsettled because of what the commentary there was. I think there was a sequence that was kind of funny, because it was like this mother is talking to these parents, and they're talking about their daughter. And I think, what was it? Are we Muslim? We aren't, just you. I think that got a laugh. And how that sequence went from being just funny to just utterly wild and baffling, because it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And so I think that's also speaks to the human experience, how desensitized we are as a society to these really horrific events. Nobody should be okay with school shootings. The fact that we haven't done anything as a society to circumvent or really prevent these things is terrifying and horrifying. And then you have the story from, what was it, Janet and Michael? No, what was Michael Pena's character in this? I forget, but I know who you're talking about. Right. So how educators, how we treat them. And that was kind of eye-opening as somebody who's, Mark and Janet, as somebody who's best friends with somebody who teaches in the New York City public schools. A lot of that rang true. And it's just interesting, because obviously it's been a while since I was in the public school system, but so much has changed. So much has changed to the point where it just feels very alien and foreign to me that this is where we are in life. I mean, we've had this conversation about how the kids, the first time they told us about their active shooter drills in school, like I still can't wrap my head around that. I find that just beyond words. I don't even know how we exist as a society where it's okay that our kids are constantly under the stress of, is today the day that something crazy could happen, because we don't address the roots causes, which is probably alienation and mental health and all this other stuff. And so that part of the story rang true. Then you have the Haley Lou Richardson character and her kind of exaggerated, allergies, I guess, and how that plays a part into the story. I want to talk about stuff but not give too much, because I really feel like as an audience you should really go into this blindly.
We already said this is the spoiler section. We even took a break.
Yes, I know, but I still want to keep some things off the table only because I feel like in order to really appreciate this film, you really should go into it blindly.
All right. Well,
So-
if you're still listening, don't.
Well, I did say that before. Yes, if you don't want spoilers, you should turn this off.
You should have stopped as soon as the sound went
No,
away.
but wait. I wanted to go through because you had your theory about what you thought was happening, and this sort of ties into my theory. I believe that this is happening. I believe that the man from the future doesn't have a name, but that's his name, even on the IMDb page. I believe that he's made this journey 117 times, and
So you believe he's really traveling through time?
I do. I think that
And we're not, and the characters are not in a simulation.
no, I don't believe so.
What?
No, it's just so funny because you believe what you believe and I believe what I believe. So it's just cute because we don't always have to agree.
No, I just wanted to differentiate what you were saying from what I was saying.
Yeah.
I wasn't deriding your.
No, I don't think you are either. But
Okay.
it's funny because sometimes when we argue about stuff, we're very adamant in our positions and
You're wrong.
I think immediately after the film, I think we talked about it briefly, and you absolutely believed what you believe, and I believe what I believe, and a couple of hours or whatever has passed, but I still firmly believe that this is what's happening.
Okay.
It seems very far-fetched, but I absolutely believe that he is traveling through time, and because there's things that he knows that he shouldn't know, and I think that the thing that separates us.
What does he know that he shouldn't know?
He knew about all these people. He knew that woman was going to call the cops. He knew that the cops were going to come. He knew that he had a certain amount of time to get out of the diner.
That's because he did it 117 times already.
Right, but that's what I mean. Like, he's able to do this. I don't think it's in a simulation, and I think the other thing that kind of, to me at least, proves that he's not in a simulation is that later on, towards the end of the story, the AI is trying to strike a deal with a character. And I think that that's very telling because the AI understands. The AI even says, I am the inevitability, which is sort of what I was saying before about how it tied into me, at least as a viewer, the whole thing with the Matrix. But the AI is trying to make a deal with a character to kind of get ahead of the man from the future successfully completing his mission. And I think that we know that the mission isn't complete because when we get to the end, it bookends to where we started, but with a new plan. So I think that, yes, and kind of something that I was saying to you before, I think the thing that separates us is that we're resilient. We always get up and we always try again, no matter what. And I think that as a species, I think that we try, especially when we're told that we won't succeed. So I think that that's another motivator here. Something happened to the man from the future that he desperately wants to fix. And it's imperative that he is successful, no matter how many times he has to come back. And so he's figured out a way to push the button whenever he needs to go back, because all these other people are expendable, but he isn't. And he says that, right? He says that in the story. And I think that there's little nuances that, at least to me, prove that this is really happening in real time. Okay. If you were going to give this a number from 1 to 10, what would it be?
I'd give it an 8.
An 8. I left the theater saying 10, and I'm going to stick with it. This was such a freaking delight. It was a treat. It goes from 0 to 90. The performances are stellar. I'm a huge fan of Gore Verbinski, and it's so great to see him back directing something that is just so hilariously funny and thought-provoking and surreal and weird, but in the best possible ways. Yeah, 10. I don't think you could do this better. I really don't. And before we wrap it up today, I want to dedicate this episode of the podcast to my lovely friends KT and Melinda, thank you so much for your Covenant House Sleep Out donations. They're super generous and so greatly appreciated. To everyone else, I haven't come up with ideas yet, but we're going to drop the link in the blurb if you can sponsor us for the Sleep Out. We totally love and appreciate it. And we're going to do some levels I haven't priced it out yet, but if you donate a certain amount, we're going to invite you to do an episode with us, maybe a dedication. I haven't worked out all the particulars yet, but if you're interested, again, we'll drop it in the blurb, and any amount is greatly appreciated. Covenant House is an organization that's existed since I was a young person, and they're doing amazing work to help disenfranchised and forgotten kids so that they have a better life. And I urge everyone to give what you can in this time to help young people just get through to tomorrow. It's an amazing organization, and they do really amazing work, and I can't say enough good things about it. And again, shout out to KT and Melinda. So very grateful to you both. This is New Release Weekend, and go if you can to check out Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die from, I guess, this year, even though IMDb says 2025. It's rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 14 minutes. And with that, we'll wrap it up and bid you all a
Good night.
good night.